Welcome to Play Pause Turn. In this podcast we discuss all things to do with TV, films, games and literature. We give our thoughts on the media we've been enjoying, old or new, and comment on anything topical. Our hosts today are myself, John, and Alex and Bobby. And we always start off with an intro question, so I'm going to say hello to each person, and they can say hello back to me if they want, and then answer the question. So, again, each question that we do at the beginning of our podcast is generally a hint to what we're talking about in the show. I'll go in reverse alphabetical order here, either way it works. Bobby, for you personally, hello by the way, what is the perfect streaming device?
I just want one place to stream stuff. In our house, I would say it's the Apple TV box. But it does get confusing because we're able to stream everything through our Samsung TV, and I have a Fire Stick, and I have a Roku, and I have, as a result, 200 different remote controls for different things. Oh, and I can also use the Sky Q box because that is now also a multi-streaming box. Okay, you're going to push me for an answer. I'd say in our household, the Sky Q box is the perfect streaming device because that seems to do everything right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I
used to be. Well, I used to be a Sky box subscriber, and Sky Q, is that internet connected? It's not dish based, is it?
I have no idea how it works. We still have a dish both on the house, but we don't seem to suffer from adverse weather effects, and maybe that is all going through the internet thingy. I'll look it up and I'll let you know next episode.
Oh, yes. Well, some follow-up would be brilliant, actually, yes. Alex, how about you? What is your perfect streaming device? Are you going to be weird about this now?
No, not particularly. What made you say that?
Well, I got the hint that you were going to say something weird, but we'll see, shall we?
No, it's just a bit of an iOS versus Android sort of dynamic going on there. So, my perfect streaming device is the NVIDIA Shield. It's a very good Android TV box. It has an exceedingly capable processor on it, so it's very snappy, and it runs everything on Google TV, so it's really, really good. The only problem is I don't have it anymore because of the problem that Bobby talked about, which is too many remotes and everyone going, how do I access that again? Which one is it? Which one am I meant to press? So when we got a new smart TV, I just got rid of everything because I was just like, there's no point. It's either on my LG or it's not. And if it's not on the LG, I can probably Chromecast it. So that's my current solution. It's not perfect, and there aren't LG apps for everything, but it's close enough. So that's the one for me. And what's amazing about it is that, it's actually about 5 years old right now. You can buy new Shields, but they all have the same processor on it because basically NVIDIA made such a good processor that it just, like a 5-year processor runs really well.
So is that not a mobile device, though, the NVIDIA Shield? Is it a handheld device? I thought it was
no.
One that
It's a Shield TV. Right. And it's a box. There's two options. There's one that's a bit flat, and then there's one that's a bit circular. I'm just making some strange shapes, and
that's worrying Bobby
for our
listeners.
Well.
I mean, that's usually John's job, actually. So
yeah, true.
And so it's an interesting thing, but shape. But the thing is, it's just got a very simple remote. It's very snappy. It's been updated regularly for the 5 years or whatever that I've had it. And it's I only got rid of it less than 6 months ago when I got a new TV. So it's just, honestly, it's like a model of a good one. It's probably very comparable to the Apple TV in that Apple TV is very well supported and just works. And I feel like they did a really good job. The only problem that they had was it was really expensive. So I ended up replacing my Chromecasts with the new Google Chromecast, and I get pretty much the same experience out of it, except that it's really laggy, and sometimes things crash, and it's frustrating because I can't really afford to have 3 NVIDIA Shields around the house. just doing that job, because the Nvidia Shield is about the same price as an Apple TV, which is a bit pricey. So
yeah,
anyway,
I mean, I would disagree with you in one respect, and it could be just my Apple TV, but I have the Apple TV 4K, and it's had all sorts of problems. I don't know if it's the TV's fault or my terrible wiring in my house, but up until recently, where I got better internet, it was my Apple TV would stream really badly, even on the sort of the plus 25 meg speeds that you can get 4K footage. Quite often, I'd have to basically restart the TV, Apple TV, and that would fix it over and over again. So I would say I love the idea of an Apple TV as being the best streaming device, but I think it, and I don't think it may be not the Apple TV's fault. Bobby, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say I think it might just be your particular Apple TV. So I would, when you get time, have a go at taking it back to Apple, because they're usually good, even though it's an older device. They're usually pretty good about sorting those sorts of things out. But it does. Well, I've not had a problem with mine, and even in our house, I know we live in the city and all of that, but our internet at times has been absolutely atrocious, thanks BT, and but it hasn't really had that problem at all. So give it a go. I've
just upgraded my internet in an interesting way, and to be fair to the Apple TV, it's way better now, without any issues. So I think it's probably running our Apple TV through our 1930s home plug wired house is causing problems. You've got issues when you go to your Xbox internet test settings, and it actually says on the screen the wiring in your house is problematic. And how the hell it knows that?
Wow!
If I can go back and screen grab it, I'll show you. I think for me, I have a different setup. I have the Apple TV for the grown-ups, and I have a Sony Bravia TV, which has its own apps as well for the children, so that I can set all the parental filters for YouTube and everything else via the TV. And then I can sit down and use my YouTube on my Apple TV without having to keep changing accounts. So that's how I kind of do it. I do notice, by the way, that on the Sony, Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime stream with a much better picture quality than the Apple TV. And it's something to do with the processor, but you just get a richer picture. I generally only watch stuff on my Apple TV because I have two HomePods connected and I get wonderful sound. And I don't mind taking that very minor hit on quality for the sound. But for me, my perfect streaming device is my iPad Pro, because of the spatial audio and because of the screen's lovely. And even without headphones, the quad speakers are amazing. And I can take it with me wherever I go. And so for me, my perfect streaming device is my iPad. It's generally the thing I fall asleep with at night when I'm watching TV, which is really bad for you, apparently. Although the jury's out on the colour of the screen now. They've recently said, haven't they, that the night settings, the warm colours, don't have any scientific benefits whatsoever. Bobby, you were going to say something.
I was going to say that I find so we've got a Samsung downstairs, we've got a Sony upstairs, Android TV, and I agree with you that there is definitely a big picture difference between the Apple TV connected to the Samsung and the Sony running 4K Netflix or whatever natively. But I don't know if it's the same with yours, or maybe it's just personal preference, but I find that the picture on the Apple TV seems to be a bit more natural, whereas on the Sony it's oversaturated. And
yes, I agree with that completely.
I think that's something to do with the way that Sony set their systems up, or whatever.
I think it's the difference between Dolby Vision, which I think is what the Apple TV use, and then I think the Sony TV uses HDR10, and so you get a slightly different picture. My only other issue with Apple TV and Netflix is, and this is a known problem, I don't know if you get it with yours. Again, I haven't checked it recently. Is we get an audio lag every so often with just Netflix on the Apple TV, and there's an issue where the way the frame rate works on the Netflix and the Apple TV, sometimes the sound can't catch up with it, and it drops the sound to adjust and match up the frame rate again. I don't know if you get that with yours. Apple TV.
Only had it on Netflix with Apple TV with one particular show, which was Queen of the South, but I've not noticed it on any other. The only audio
comes and goes, I find.
Sorry?
It comes and goes, so maybe you'll get the same issue.
Yeah, no, we've not had that problem at all. Funny enough, where we have had the audio lag issue has been when watching Resident Alien, on catch up on the Skybox, that the voice basically goes before they talk. That kind of problem. But we've not really had that issue at all. So again, I don't know if it's a settings thing or it is just your Apple TV box, which you've just obviously got a rogue one there, John.
Got a duff one there. I mean, that's why I like the iPad so much. I don't get any of these issues because the process is so good and everything just works so smoothly. Wow, we've talked a lot about that, haven't we, for our intro? Let's talk about our main topic. Well done, that was interesting. It's interesting to hear different points of view of the devices as well, don't you think? But our main topic for today is what are we streaming, and it's kind of a broader topic here. We're going to really chat about the streaming services, the ones that we use, the ones we think we like the most, and any good recommendations for films and TV series. So this is very much a streaming episode. At time of recording, there are some things coming out in the future that we're looking forward to. Some of those things may have already come out by the time you hear this podcast, in fact. But let's start off with what services we actually use. So, Bobby, staying in the same order for our round robin, what streaming services do you use, and do you think you need to get a mortgage for your streaming services?
Yeah, because I am, and Alex, actually, we've had these conversations over the last months, and Alex has got me really, really thinking that I need to do an audit on my streaming services. So the Sky Q box is what gets used most in the house because my wife prefers the Sky interface for some reason, and I know I'm not alone. A lot of my friends have said the same thing. They've had to keep Sky because their partners just prefer and seem to be able to get to grips with the Sky interface, navigating the menus and all of that sort of thing. So the Sky box is the one that gets used the most. For me personally, I prefer using my Apple TV 4K. Just it's set up perfectly. I think that the picture that comes through that to my Samsung looks better than it does when it goes through the Sky Q 4K is absolutely fine. I just think the Apple TV just has the edge. But yeah, it's and then in terms of actual services, we then use pretty much everything, but most commonly Netflix, because we tend to watch a lot of the European shows there. So we watch a lot of Spanish murder mysteries together. And then Carolina, when I'm doing things like podcasting, she'll, right now, I bet she's watching some French or German thing like Dark or The Forest.
Oh, I love Dark.
Yeah, I know you do. I couldn't get into it, but she loves that.
Oh, I love that so much.
And we also do watch a lot of Sky box sets as well. Amazon Prime, when there's anything decent, we'll obviously watch it. So Bosch on Amazon Prime is one of our favourite shows over there. We also watched Upload, which I think I mentioned a few episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
It might have actually been tangents, actually. But Upload, very, very good. I think you'd enjoy that. So Amazon Prime, what else haven't I mentioned? Oh, obviously Apple TV Plus and Disney Plus, for the Marvel stuff.
And that's a full house if anyone is keeping track.
Well, not quite.
Yeah, I haven't got a dodgy version of HBO Max yet.
Hang on, we'll come on to that.
Alex,
I gave you a login, Robbie. I gave you a login.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I do sometimes stream on my PlayStation 5, which I understand a lot of people don't have at the moment, so they can't relate to it. I thought I would just get that in.
It's a good interface, though. It's a good interface. I mean, Apple. You mentioned Apple TV Plus, Bobby, and I mean that Apple TV Apple finally made the sensible move and allowed their app to be installed on non-Apple devices. And actually, what's really interesting is it's such a similar experience. If you go to the PlayStation 5 and you flip over to media, Alex, the screen basically looks like you're on your Apple TV.
Right.
So it's like visiting your local McDonald's. You get the same experience wherever you go. It's quite interesting.
That's clever.
So you obviously don't watch Apple TV Plus, Alex. But what else do you like to stream on? What other services do you use?
Yeah, so at the moment, I've got Disney Plus, which gets a fair amount of use. There's Amazon Prime. Now, Amazon Prime is one of those things that I constantly forget Like, I know I pay for it, but you just constantly forget that you have it.
I didn't forget this week. I got stung for £80 this week, that's why.
Oh,
my year came up and I forgot it was there.
It's one of those things that every year it comes up, and then you think, do I really want to pay £80? And then you think, no, I don't want to pay £80. But then you think, I'll do it. I'll cancel. And then as soon as you discuss that with the other half, they're like, no, I want next day delivery. You can't take that away. And then it's like, oh, okay, fine.
Well, Alex, your wife is a teacher and I am a teacher. And yesterday morning I was asked by my head of sport, we've got some girls playing cricket this week. We need 3 female cricket boxes. How are we going to get them? Like, well, I've got Prime. So I went onto Prime and ordered 3 I don't know how it's going to affect my recommendations. 3 girls cricket boxes, which arrived within 17 hours, really, today. Wow. And as a teacher, because we're obviously not always wonderfully organised when it comes to our planning, be able to suddenly get a book or a resource the next day is worth every penny of that £80. And I think you're interested. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about Prime being a kind of an outlier, because it's one of those services that we kind of get as an extra with our Prime delivery. And so I don't feel as bad about not watching as often, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I honestly think it's probably one of like the most unloved streaming services from its customers, because I actually think that if you looked at it and went through it, you'd probably be like, oh, that's good. Like Marvelous Miss Maisel's good, for example. That's very good. So and I love things like the Expanse, which is now
that's
an
brilliant.
Amazon one. John loves that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's Prime. So I do have a US login for HBO Max. Initially, I did it because I really wanted to watch all of the exclusive films that are out, that have been going out instead of going to the cinema.
Sorry, can I interject here?
Yeah.
How did this happen? Because when we had the whole thing about Wonder Woman 1984, and for any of our listeners who have followed us from tangents, you will all bear witness to this fact that Mark, Alex and I had a pact that we were going to try and work this HBO Max thing out, right? And it didn't happen. Wonder Woman 1984 turned out to be a pile of crap anyway, but now Alex suddenly reveals today, 7 months on or whatever, that he's got a login for HBO Max, and he did not think to share that information until doing the prep for this podcast. That's it. I'm not happy. I'm out of here. I'm not really out of here because I've got a lot more I want to talk about. But anyway, I'm sort of out of here.
So
how?
I get that, and I'm gonna. I think the challenge that I have with Max is we did try and log in and basically do it, but in the UK. HBO Max isn't available, so you have to go through a VPN that gets frequently blocked. You have to use a US credit card, so I had to find a service that would give me a US credit card and an address. And then once I did all of that, I thought, brilliant, right, now I can finally stream Wonder Woman, which was the one I was initially excited about. And they've got extra content blocks in place, so there's literally no way that it would work. And so I gave a login to Mark just in passing and said, "All right, Mark, off you go." And he's loving it. Somehow his internet seems to be perfectly fine for US viewing. And he's loving this, going, great. Oh, HBO Max is awesome.
The weird thing is, he's the least technically able out of all of us, Mark.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
I'm going, what are you using? What are the thing? And he's like, oh, I'm using ExpressVPN. I'm like, oh,
no. He is the modern day version of a million monkeys typing on a typewriter and making Shakespeare.
Oh, you're right. You are right. But anyway, so that's how he got a login. The million
monkeys live in you now, Mark. Go take this HBO Max password and username and go forth and enjoy content that the others can't. All right, then.
I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it, but he managed it. So anyway, so he probably owes me something for that HBO Max subscription.
You've heard it here, folks.
Yeah. Apart from that, we did have Netflix. Then, through an element of frugality, I thought, Jar, I'm going to cancel. You put your price up too much now. £14 a month or whatever it was is just too much. Like, that's more than BBC. I'm not paying it. So I cancelled. And then what happened is that Bobby and John said, you really need to watch some of this. This is really good. So they recommended loads and loads of stuff on Netflix. So now I borrowed a login for it, and I'm tempted
Whose
to go
login have you borrowed? Is it Bobby's by any chance?
No, it's not Bobby's login.
Oh.
No, we've got other family that use it, so it's not a problem. Okay. Then I was like, oh, why am I doing this? Why don't I just pay for it again? But I'm resisting because it's just too expensive, and I don't know how to give a message to Netflix that they're charging too much. And then
how are they going to pay for all their big films they're making now? They're making like 108 films next year or something ridiculous. That's where the money comes from.
I know.
They put £2 on every user to make an extra, whatever £1 billion they get for it.
I don't. No, I do mind. I wish that it was a bit cheaper, and then I wish that they found a better way of doing it for like a big budget film, because I feel like that would, at least that way, it feel a bit fairer.
So I quite like only having one price. Imagine if it was like tiered, like some services are. I think this. I just find it too incomprehensible to understand. I agree, but the problem that I have at the moment is that the pricing is based on the quality. So if you want the best quality, you have to pay the most. Whereas Disney Plus is one price. Yeah, that's true. And that's going to go up though.
Of course it'll go up, but I'd rather that they went up. Maybe it could go up like per screen or per profile member or something. At least then I would feel like it would be a bit fairer. But the era of like having a standard definition streaming service, honestly, I think that's going. And the only reason that they're getting away with it at the moment is because people will go, look, I want the HD, I'm happy to pay for it. And they've always got this option of going, you don't have to have that if you want it cheaper. But I just
that's why I gave up Now TV, really, because they were charging an extra £2 a month to go from 720 to 1080p, which I think is ridiculous.
Because for them, it's no effort. Literally, they've put a block on it that is purely about making money. Now, does YouTube Premium count?
Yes, I mean,
yes.
I've put YouTube down as one of my streaming services because I do watch things regularly on it. So I think YouTube Premium is just the next step up, isn't it? Surely.
We watch so much on it. Look, let's just be clear. Like, there's YouTube Premium. You get YouTube Music. It's $17.99 a month.
How much?
But $17.99 a month for a family plan.
Oh right.
But so that's with everything that we've got on. That would be the straw that breaks the camel. The streaming back in this household, and that's why we haven't. I mean, Carolina always shouts and goes, "These bloody adverts on YouTube! How do I get rid of them?" And then I go, "Well, we have to pay $17.99 a month." And she's like, "No, screw that. I'll just wait 5 seconds and skip it."
Well, I think the only way the adverts, lack of adverts on YouTube is great, but obviously you get YouTube Music as well in that price. So it's like it just covers all of the music and that. So and we watch so many YouTube videos. I'm really bad at that. Well, across the whole family we are actually. So for us, it saves a lot of ads watching, which is good. But all of the originals that they did, like the trying to have a content strategy, haven't watched hardly any. Like I think I watched one, which was one in space because I'm a sci-fi nut, and it was pretty pants, but it was fine,
If you like original stuff is starting to appear on other services now as well, because I started so Cobra Kai obviously is the big one that went to Netflix, and then there was another one. It's about a kid who's like a Dirty Harry type. He loses his father in the first episode. God, what's it called? I started watching it. Anyway, that was a YouTube original and it's brilliant. And that is now on, I believe, Amazon Prime. So the YouTube originals are starting there, but then they are getting snapped up by the other streaming services. And I don't know if that's just because of the others' content strategy or just because not enough people are really on YouTube as a subscription service. I would imagine most people...
Bobby, if YouTube gave you a separate tier that wasn't the music but just the video for, say, $9.99 a month, would you be tempted?
No. Because like Alex, when I go on YouTube, I just look at videos of new iPads and stuff like that. Or Carolina uses it purely for cat videos and nothing else. I feel like I've got enough quality content with the other stuff we subscribe to. And then we've got Apple TV Plus as part of the £29 a month bundle that Apple do, which gives us...
I do that.
Yeah, so because I use Apple Fitness Plus.
Apple One, it's called. Apple One,
that's it. So because Apple Music, I've tried to move to Spotify and things like that, but again, as soon as you change a platform, it can cause a lot of friction in the household because somebody else has to relearn something. What have you done now? This doesn't work. You get that down the stairs. So I quickly have to go back and resubscribe to whatever it was that I dropped. But anyway, to answer your question, no, I wouldn't. I just don't see the need. There's nothing there that's like a must. Do you know what I mean? Like Disney Plus, all of us were like straight on top of that. 59 quid, we're in. We need those Marvel shows. We need The Mandalorian. No brainer.
X-Files.
But there's nothing really on YouTube in terms of originals that I'm that bothered about. And I know now, because of Netflix and Amazon Prime strategy, they'll keep an eye on the more obscure services. And as soon as they do bring out a show like Cobra Kai that is a big hit, they'll then just pay whatever they need to get it over onto their platform instead.
Alex, you were going to say something?
Changing services is a nightmare. Even just switching off Netflix almost caused a divorce. And you would not believe how much frustration I had from the change from Google Play Music to YouTube Music. That was nothing to do with me.
It's the same service, isn't it, though?
It is. It's not the same service, but it should be the same service. Yeah. So, they just wanted to make it all funky and really Gen Z. And what happened was that it doesn't identify songs as well. All of your uploaded songs that you've had for ages just stop working. Downloading stuff to use offline doesn't work as well, and it's like an example of the BBC Sounds app all over again. So
bless.
Yeah, and honestly, the amount of hassle I had to do that with the whole family, including the grandparents. They were like, "Why is my Google Home stopped working?" I'm like, "Oh, God's sake!" So it is honestly, and that wasn't even me. That wasn't even me doing it.
For me, really, in terms of music services, I'm always concerned about compatibility with other devices. So, will it work? Will it work through the Alexa? Will it work through the Google Mini? Will it work through my headphones or my phone? And Apple and Spotify are the two services really that work through most things. Although I hear Deezer has now been connected to the HomePod as well. You can play your Deezer music through HomePod this week or last week. I think like Bobby, I'm mainly an Apple household. I do have Disney Plus, I do have Netflix, I do have Apple TV Plus. I really, really wish Netflix was integrated into Apple TV's Watching Now stream. So we use the Apple TV to look at everything apart from Netflix. It's really annoying. The interface shows you the last thing you've looked at along the top, and it plugs in all the other different services. But obviously Netflix wants its own metrics, and so it won't allow Apple to have that. And I find that really infuriating. I'd like to stay in one app at least, and I think that was Apple's dream, wasn't it, to have all the services in one app, the Apple TV app.
I wonder whether that's a mix of Apple and Netflix, because the thing is, on Google, Netflix is the only one that does that automatically. Like all the other services don't. So It's like the reverse. But
it does
anyway,
it on on Skybox as well. What on your Watch Next or what you're currently watching, your Netflix, whatever you're watching on Netflix, does come up on there as well. And I'm sure it shows on our Apple TV Plus. So again, I'm wondering. I'll check that and I'll let you know offline, John.
Any show I've watched recently on Netflix doesn't appear on my Watch Next list. So unless there's a setting, but I would imagine it's to do with metrics. I don't think Netflix wants to share its analytics with Apple. Whereas I would imagine other services say again.
Why would Netflix allow it with Sky, for example?
Well, I would imagine the way it's integrated, the API is used differently on Sky than it is with Apple's devices. It could just be a matter of how it's coded for the Apple TV.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, Netflix get a good deal with Apple TV anyway in terms of being able to stream, because the whole Apple versus Epic service is based around why some apps can get away with it and others can't. That's for another podcast. I have Prime, Disney Plus, Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and YouTube, and my wife uses BritBox. And we'll come to that later on. I'm with you, Bobby. I really wish everything was in one place with one charge. I don't think that will ever happen. In a capitalist society, I think there's always going to be competition.
It used to happen. It was called a network.
It was called a network. You're right.
In the US, it used to be that you would pay one bill every month, and that would be it.
Yeah.
But now all of the providers can basically cut out the broadcasters. Sorry, can cut out the networks. We've all got multiple charges to pay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to think about how much I pay, to be honest. I'm sure Bobby doesn't.
Should we top them up?
It's not so bad in our house because you don't feel it as much, because I negotiated our Sky thing, and we've got movies and we've got just sports for football, which is hardly any point if you're an Arsenal fan at the moment. But we pay £50 a month. Our Netflix subscription, which is the full HD one, 4 devices or 4K or whatever.
Yeah.
That is charged by Sky, not Netflix. So Sky have taken that over.
I see.
So we do Netflix through Sky. So that £50 includes the Netflix. Amazon Prime I don't pay for because I'm with Vitality Health, and because I do the required amount of exercise every week, I don't pay for Prime. So in my mind, I kind of just wrap that into the Sky thing, and the £50 a month suddenly seems like better value. So really, the only thing external to that is the Apple TV.
You run to watch Prime.
I cycle.
Isn't that a Black Mirror episode?
I cycle and I do Apple Fitness Plus workouts, John, to get my Prime for free.
Wow, that is literally a Black Mirror episode, isn't it? But still a good idea. There's an episode where they have to do certain exercise to earn credits, don't they, for TV viewing?
Yes.
Okay, so we've gone through all of them pretty much here, but are there any of those ones that you watch, which do you think is your favourite? Which is your best streaming service right now, Bobby?
None of them, because there's always, every single one of them's lacking something, is my short answer.
Okay. How about you, Alex?
I'm actually really impressed with Disney Plus. I think they've, coming from a standing start, I think they're doing really well. You should say a standing start with the back catalogue of like the world, because they own everything, so it's not a complete surprise. But yeah, honestly, I think they've done really well. It's getting me into Marvel a lot more than I used to. I really enjoyed and the quality of the Marvel shows was really high. And I'm even watching like The Bad Batch, for example.
Oh yeah, I've been enjoying that.
I'm really enjoying that because and I even put it on for my daughter, because I was just like, no, you need to watch this, even though she's not really
education.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's a cute kid, so I figured it would work for her.
Omega. Yeah.
It did. Anyway, so, and I think they've added like Star on top, which is like their back catalogue that they've got that they can access. And honestly, I haven't looked at that, but it's nice to have that as a backup as well. So I feel like they've addressed a lot. Like, I think they've done pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Disney Plus for me is, you're right, it's nice just knowing I can sit and watch a Star Wars whenever I want to. I was watching a bit of New Hope again today, just to see Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, their carcasses outside the homestead in full 4K. I mean, I don't even think the children should see that, to be honest.
No, you're right.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm really actually the thing I'm watching predominantly the most at the moment is the Star stuff, because it's for me it's the comfort TV and the retro. I mean, I keep banging on about X-Files, but being able to see every single one of those in HD, apart from the exterior scenes that were never scanned in high def, so they're still in SD, which is hilarious. I really, I think for me it's the one I'm watching the most. However, Netflix is the one that Becca and I, my wife, watches. We can watch more together on Netflix because of the wide variety of choice. So I think. For Disney Plus for me, but I think for the household, probably Netflix. And I really, really wish that YouTube didn't exist, because I hate my children watching shouty American dude bros doing video game let's plays, which is all I hear when I come home from work and when I leave to work in the mornings. Now, are there any, and there's loads, people don't really know this, there's a lot of edge case streaming services, some real good niche interest streaming services. Are there any you can recommend, Bobby? I'm not really sure what your note means in the agenda here.
You're talking about obscure stuff, and aside from, I can only think of torrents and illegal things, so I'm going to shut up and let you guys talk about BritBox and whatever.
No,
okay.
It's quite legitimate, Bobby. I think it's just John's made it CD when it was fine.
I did not make it CD. Bobby did.
Oh, well, okay.
No,
I think you both
in the
did.
pre-prep notes, I deleted it very quickly, but I wrote Pornhub.
Oh, of course you did.
That was on
No one
Mark's
pays
behalf,
for that,
to be
Bobby.
fair, because I know that's where his brain would go.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, I know.
Right. I need to recover this.
Yeah, there's.
Do you mean stuff that's kind of not the big 7 streaming services? Just
yeah,
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
You've got. Is it Moby, the one that does the sort of the older sort of classic films, black and white films?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you've got what's the one that just does anime?
That's Crunchyroll, isn't it?
Crunchyroll. That's Crunchyroll. You've got the horror one that does all the Blumhouse movies as well, haven't you? Which we see quite a lot of adverts for.
I've got one. So I have. Huh?
I've got one.
Oh, you've got one?
Yeah. So if anyone's got a Samsung TV, maybe you want to write in and review us and maybe make a comment about this. But if you've got Samsung TV and you call up the little menu where you've got all your apps, and there's one which is like Samsung TV something, I don't know what it is, but you click on it and it's got all these obscure programs, and you can often watch things like Nigerian soap operas and stuff, and they are effing hilarious. They are so funny. So yeah, there you go. Whatever the Samsung one is that gets you the
Samsung
weird
Free.
African soap operas.
Yeah, it was Samsung Free is the one.
That's the one.
I don't know what it would be called.
Free.
Might be called different things on different models, but on my S21, it's like it's trying to get me to watch it as well. So
the horror streaming series I was thinking of was Shudder. That of all the niche services, I think that would be one I could be tempted to subscribe to if I suddenly got rockstar wages. I think Shudder would be one. I like a good horror film. Alex, what about you?
So I've got a couple
interesting things here.
Yeah, so I've got a couple here. Partly because I've seen them advertised on some of my YouTube watching. So I've got Curiosity Stream, and Curiosity Stream does documentaries, and it's not very much. It's like £15 a year, so it's not like a big cost. And I was like, yeah, I'll give them a year for that. And then within that price, you also get access to Nebula, which is a alternative YouTube streaming service. So they've got people like Tech Alter, and Marcus Brownlee's just joined it, for example. And the principle is, it's like, for if you're a YouTuber, you want to make sure that you don't only rely on YouTube, because there may be a case where that gets pulled out away from you, or it might be that you have to post something that you can't post on YouTube for whatever reason. So not having that as an option is a problem. So so they did that, which is good. And the only other one that I do, again, this is really for a YouTuber, is Linus Tech Tips. If you know them.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So they have a service called Floatplane, because they built their own as well. And honestly, they're the only people on it that are worth watching at the moment. But it's just interesting to see how that works. And you can, all of them work with Chromecast, or Curiosity Stream has its own app on the LG anyway, so that's fine. So so they kind of work just like the rest of them. I think the main problem that I have is just finding the right service for the right thing that I want to watch. It's like sometimes you just can't keep track of it now. So
speaking of that sort of again, the right service for the right people, I want to put a good word in for BritBox. I think it's actually quite popular in the States, BritBox. There's quite a lot of viewers in the States who like... They probably watch it and watch it with the same tongue in the cheek as Bobby watches his comedy streaming services from Nigeria.
Can I just say, I don't watch those every single day. It's just random. Like, I happen to click on the Samsung Free app by accident, and it just comes on. Okay, so it's very occasional. Okay. But usually, if I'm that area of my TV, it's because I'm switching it to HDMI 3 to play on my PlayStation 5.
It's no tarnish nor character, don't worry, Bobby. But, I mean, obviously my wife loves BritBox, and she got it, I think it's one of those services you get free sometimes with a mobile phone contract for a year. And after a year, she actually said, I want to carry on doing this. And she binge watches, like, you know, all the Bergeracs and things like that. And I think there's a lot of people in the country, for them it's their comfort TV. For them it's their X-Files. It's their something they watch in their youth. Again, with the current way everyone's feeling in terms of mental health, I think people are really moving towards joyful comfort TV that they don't have to worry too much about. It's kind of a little sort of corner in their house they can go and chill out and not worry about the worries of the world. So I think we'll see that's going to be quite interesting to see how that comes on BritBox. And I like it because my wife just loves it and it keeps her quiet basically, which, you know, she says the same thing about my PlayStation, so that's great. Let's move on to films. I think we haven't mentioned. We have to remember we're quite a Brit-centric podcast, so we haven't mentioned Hulu, and BritBox is probably something that's a niche interest for the Americans as well. But in terms of the films, we obviously get a lot of good films from the States in the services like Netflix and Prime. Can you give me any recommendations of films you've recently seen that you really enjoyed, Bobby?
Yes, I can, John. We saw Love and Monsters.
That's good.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I really wanted to see it in the cinema last year. Obviously, the pandemic happened. It was available to buy on iTunes. I think I will just buy it on iTunes now anyway, but then it came out on Netflix, and it's just such a wonderful film. It's such a great story. We just loved it. And what?
It's very good. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've just got the reference with your last sentence. The film with fat Russell Crowe where he's a psychopath chasing that poor woman. That does make sense now. That is the plot, basically. But I like where it went. But I had a tear in the eye by the end, and I liked that it didn't have a conventional silly boy meets girl, boy gets girl ending. Spoiler. I thought it's definitely a film of the new generation where things are different now, and I really enjoyed that. Obviously the monsters are brilliant in it as well, and it's very clever. It reminded me basically of a romantic comedy version of Annihilation, really. I'm with you. That I really enjoyed that. Have you seen it, Alex?
No, I've not seen it.
It's worth watching. Get your family log in and watch it. It's good. It's worth a watch. Anything else, Bobby?
Yeah, well, on the Love and Monsters theme, there was another one called I can't remember what it's called. It's a high school one. Basically, these kids in this town, their heads just start exploding randomly. And if you liked Love and Monsters, I'll try and find it when you guys have a go, and then I'll come back in and let you know what it's called. But it was brilliant. It was with the girl who was going to be Hawkeye's new Hawkeye. She was in 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, the Australian actress. I need to find it and I'll let you know. But basically, it's a group of kids in this town, and then suddenly they just start spontaneously combusting, and they just can't work out the reason why. But there is that kind of boy meets girl story within there, very much in the Love and Monsters vein. So if you like that, you'll love what I can't remember the name of. So there's that. And we saw Let Him Go with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. Who were also Jonathan.
Is that quite a recent film?
That was quite a recent film. To be fair, I might have seen that on my US iTunes account, so I apologise if in advance. But when it does come out, inevitably on a streaming service, see it. It's a great little modern western. Film with fat Russell Crowe, Unhinged, which is now available on Sky Cinema, and it will probably be on all the other streaming stuff imminently. It's not the greatest film in the world, but it's about a woman whose day is falling apart and going completely wrong, and she beeps in the wrong way in traffic at this guy who just happens to have murdered his ex and her new husband. And basically he just goes off after her, a bit like Duel. Remember the old original Steven Spielberg film?
Cracking film.
So it's kind of that genre, obviously not to that standard, but it's a very short, tightly edited film that doesn't have any sort of fat in it, if that makes sense. And it does keep you on the edge of your seat, and it does keep you gasping, and it does make you think about it afterwards, because I have not banged my horn at anybody in traffic ever since. So
it's not a euphemism, by the way, is it?
No, it's not. John, good. Don't get it. He's got excited again. His webcam's just flown off. But if you've got 80 minutes and you just want a good thriller to pass the time, then I definitely recommend Unhinged. I enjoyed it, so there you go.
Alex, how about you?
So I don't watch many movies on streaming services apart from on Disney that you've got the back catalogue. So I don't feel like that's like, I mean, I can recommend it, but it's not something that I feel like is like, oh, you must watch this thing because they're all stuff you know. The one that I did enjoy though from the borrowed Netflix account was Space Sweepers.
Oh, that's a great film.
I really enjoyed it. It was your fault, John, because you recommended it. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was dubbed, not dubbed. It was subtitled, wasn't it?
Well, it's a mixture. You've got about 14 different languages in it. Some of it's English, but some of it is Korean.
That's right.
French,
yeah.
German. There's loads of different languages. I like that. It was clever.
I really enjoyed it, and actually, it was definitely worth watching. But yeah, I tend to work on TV series, so we'll talk through that in a bit.
Sure. I mean, I watched most recently The Mitchells versus Machines, and I was very impressed. And I think actually
is that
the standard of that the quality of that film. No,
Grant and Phil versus computers.
Push them down the stairs, you slag. no. It's I would say that it's a Netflix film. I would say it's approaching the quality of Pixar. That film. And that's quite a high bar to reach. And it's a really, really good family movie. It riffs on the whole broken family, like the family that is not the perfect family, and how their relationships, and it's a relationship between the mother and the father and the daughter, and it has all the youth culture jokes in it, but in a good way, not cringy. They've ticked all the boxes. They've got a comedic dog that my 9-year-old son giggled at the whole way through. They've got a cool daughter who wants to be a video editor that my daughter thought was brilliant. They've got a fat silly dad with a beard that both of my kids thought was me. A long-suffering mother. It hit all the boxes for a family, but a really clever, fun story. You've got a smidge of apocalypse in there as well. It's really, and we were all crying our eyes out by the end as well for an animated film. If Netflix keeps making these sort of films, I can't remember if it's been made. I think it is a Netflix original. Then their money is worth it. I think for these sort of films. I was really impressed. So if you get a chance to watch it, Alex, with your family, watch it and Bobby as well.
Yeah, I must.
Sure.
It's great fun, but that's the only one that's stuck in my memory more recently. Now, Alex mentioned TV series,
Yes.
and I've put into my document here webisodes, although I've not spelt it correctly, because I watch a lot of stuff on Netflix, on YouTube that I watch regularly enough that it becomes TV viewing for me. Can you give me some recommendations? Alex, tell me about your recommendations first, because you kind of missed out on the films.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple. So my wife's recommendation is The Irregulars, which is on Netflix. Really enjoyed it. Really clever take on the world of Sherlock and Supernatural. I really enjoyed it.
Can you help me out there, because I watched the first one and I bounced off it completely and didn't enjoy it. Do I need to keep watching it?
Yeah, it grows really quickly. Like, I think there's a lot to take in on the first episode, and then probably by the third episode you're invested. We just were attracted to it straight away because it's just quite quirky, and Amy loves anything supernatural, so But it did take me a couple of episodes to get into it, and then once I got into it, I was really quite. It's quite good and definitely worth watching. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The first one is harder work than perhaps it should be. But I just love the world that it generates, which is good. And I think we got really excited about there being another series, and then I think they canned it. So we have a habit of picking ones that only have one series.
That's not helping me want to watch it when you just say
that. It is worth watching though.
Okay.
So I'd still recommend it, even if there's just one. It can come back. You know what Netflix are like. They'll probably just pick it up next year, and they can do that. The big one for me is The Expanse. So I love that on Amazon Prime. I mean, I loved it on Sci-Fi before it came over to Prime. We didn't in the UK. We didn't have Sci-Fi, so it was on Netflix.
We did have Sci-Fi in the UK. It was on the Sky channels.
I'm not on Sky, so that's.
So I watched the first few series via Sci-Fi on Sky.
Great.
I agree with you. For me, it's the best thing I've ever seen on Prime. It's such an amazing series.
There's some really good things on Prime, but the problem is there's some of them are a bit of work. So like Man in a High Castle, for example.
Yeah, and American Gods. They both fall in the same sort of.
American Gods is great. They're good, and they're really well filmed, but they are hard work. And the other one that's quite well known on Amazon Prime is the Boys.
Yeah, that's great.
I personally don't like.
I love that.
Sell it to me, because I find it really lewd.
Yes, but that's why I like it.
I don't know. It's again, painting a wrong picture of superheroes is interesting, but I just found it to be too crass.
You have to. I don't know if Bobby's done this, Alex, but I read all the comics first. And so I'm a bit more invested because I know you do have to kind of. Yeah, you have to kind of embed yourself in that style, which the comics do. The comics are way more violent and lewd than the TV series for obvious reasons. But I really enjoyed The Boys. I also enjoyed. There was something else on Prime that I really enjoyed. Was Dark Netflix? Was it Prime? It was Netflix, isn't it?
Dark, it's Netflix.
Yeah. Bobby, what about you?
Loads of stuff. So Ted Lasso, I have to mention, you probably know, even though neither of you have seen it, that it's won so many awards, and rightly so. You have seen it?
Yeah, best thing on Apple TV Plus by far.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, particularly that scene where he has the darts playoff with her ex-husband and that little speech he gives after. Yeah. The correct question is
it's just the most amazing writing.
It's just brilliant, and it's so feel good, and no matter what happens to him, it's an inspiring show, and I think it was something that we really needed going through the darkest parts of the last couple of lockdowns. And Carolina, surprisingly, she loved it so much. She sent me a text message the other day because we had a little bit of bad news at home, and we've been under a bit of pressure with a few things recently. But she sent me a text message the other day, and she said, "You remember we watched that Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus?" I'm actually shocked that she remembers which streaming platform it was. She says, "I would like to watch it all over again from the beginning." So that's what we're going to do. A great show. Anyway, Orphan Black, which has been around for a long time. I finally just decided, whilst Netflix surfing, let's just give this a go. John, I don't think you've seen it still, and I think you would love it because
I've heard good things.
It's a very cyberpunky sort of, you're into that sort of stuff. And the main actress in it, I mean, all the actors in it are brilliant, but Tatiana Maslany is amazing. And we blew through the 5 seasons, we blew through in about 3 weeks. So it was about 50 episodes, but absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
We're watching The Rookie on Sky Witness, which is starring the guy from Firefly, Nathan Fillion, who's one of my favourite TV actors. He is
Mal from Firefly.
Mid-40s cop he's a mid-40s guy who basically has a career change, goes into the LAPD and as a rookie, and it's not profound television, but it's feel good television. And again, it's, if you like the kind of messaging from Ted Lasso, you could imagine him and Ted Lasso having known each other and maybe gone to college together because they're of the same ilk. I started Parks and Rec, and on Alex's recommendation, I also started.
I bounced off that.
Yeah, I also started the college one, adult college.
The Good Place?
No, not The Good Place.
Oh,
I'm watching that as well. Community. Yeah, but the Muggles, not so into them. So those are now being taken offline to watch in my own time. So I'm probably going to have to go back to the gym and sit on a treadmill or something, and that's where I watch my own TV shows. I'm watching Superstore, which is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love that show. Yeah,
that is really good.
Same school as Brooklyn 99 and the US Office.
Yeah.
We're watching a few Spanish series that I mentioned earlier. So El Inocente, which is a Harlan Coben novel adaptation, and there have been a few English-American ones, but this is the first one that the Spanish have taken to adapt, and they've actually done a really good job with it, because I don't think he's that great an author, but this was a really, really good little mini-series. Bitter Daisies, that we're just halfway through watching season 2. That's another Spanish one. And lastly, British one, Unforgotten, with the lady Nicola Watsit from Spooks and the Asian comedy actor who's also been in EastEnders and Goodness Gracious Me and stuff. But Unforgotten is about this detective pair who take on cold cases. Somebody gets dug up on some building site or something, and then they actually do what nobody else ever did, which is try and get justice for this person. And we've watched the first 3 seasons. We blew through those in about 10 days flat, and I'm just trying to look for season 4. One of my Twitter followers has just told me where to find it, so we're going to get straight onto that. So yeah, loads of stuff, and there's probably more that I've got on the go as well. I think I've got bipolar.
Wow, you're busy, aren't you, Bobby? That's good. That's some good recommendations there. I'll be keeping this document for later perusal. Alex, you're a big fan of The Expanse.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll ever get Apple TV. I absolutely adore For All Mankind, and I'm shocked, frankly, how little coverage this has got. It's such a good TV series. Have you seen it yet, Bobby?
I haven't, but it's obviously on our long list.
So good. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, Becca and I both love it, which is a really good sign when we can both watch it. It's proper edgy seat stuff. It's proper jaw-dropping twists and turns. It's really cleverly written. What if the Russians got to the moon first? So it's Ronald D. Moore who did Battlestar Galactica, and it's basically the timeline diverges from when the Russians land on the moon and what would happen to America and the world if that timeline diverged.
Okay.
So it's done over the decades, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. He's got 7 decades planned, you know.
Oh, wow.
And there's some clever things going on with it which kind of change how the world's going as well. John Lennon's still alive, for instance. That's really good. Can't recommend it enough. I like it as much as Expanse. That's saying that something. I've been watching a series which kind of can be of a similar style to The Irregulars. It's called Shadow and Bone.
Yes, I've seen that.
Based on a novel. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of set. I don't know. The era it's kind of following is Victorian, but also the Ottoman Empire and sort of the Russian Crimean War. But it's not set. It's not set in Russia. It's set in a fantasy world. But it takes a kind of the inspiration from those different cultures, and then they're merged together. And the whole premise is this land where down the middle of the land is this massive curtain of cloud called the Fold. Within it, there be dragons, and different factions are battling over the land around it. And there are people with powers who are kind of the upper class elite called the Grisha, and there are people sort of amongst the lower classes that have abilities. And it's all about one character being the one. It's the classic story of the one. They're trying to find a way of getting rid of the Fold. And there's sort of a history of how the Fold was created. It's really clever. I haven't finished watching it yet, but it's quite a young cast, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. It
does feature Kevin Eldon, so whatever Kevin Eldon's in is brilliant. I always love him being in things. I'm really enjoying it, and it's kind of it feels quite poetic I don't know how to describe that. It's kind of, there's a beauty in the series that reminds me of something like Outlander, in terms of the vistas and the clothes and the characters. So it's really worth a watch. YouTube, I've mentioned it before. I really, really love the Corridor Digital crew, and they dig it. They're VFX artists. They do their own VFX for companies, but they basically dig down how all the special effects are made in films. But they invite on stuntmen, animators, and they sit and watch clips from Marvel and kung fu movies and anime, and these guys break down how everything's done. And they're really worth a watch, Corridor Digital, and they've got a back catalogue of some amazing, cool, very humorous videos they've made themselves, using all the special effects. Really, really worth a watch. And finally, Alex, you were talking about being a sci-fi buff. You should go and check out the YouTube channel called Dust. Have you heard of it?
No.
There's about 3 or 4 years worth of short story sci-fi films made by fans of the genre, but it's kind of like it aggregates all these, and they're very clever. Sometimes you haven't got a Scooby what's going on in them, but they kind of make you think. But they're all fairly polished and just kind of quirky. That's worth checking out. Dust.
I've watched some of them. I had a quick look to just sort of remind myself, and there's some pretty interesting short films in there. Yeah, so that's a good choice.
There's loads to go through. So, but there we go. So, a lot of recommendations there for our listeners. If you've got a spare 6 months where you're locked down, hold on, what am I talking about? Well, hopefully that's all going to be finishing soon. We are going to be coming out of our houses very soon, so we're going to be watching film and TV less. But if we are still in the house, what are you looking forward to over the next year, Bobby?
I'm definitely looking forward to the Star Wars stuff. So I think The Mandalorian Season 3 is end of next year, which for me is too long to wait. Yeah. But before that, I think we're getting Kenobi and the other Star Wars one. So that'll be great. And
the one with Cassian Andor.
Oh, really? I wasn't looking forward to that one because I didn't see the point of it. But I'll watch it anyway because it's Star Wars and I love Star Wars. And then I'm also... There's just too much, right? So from the Marvel stuff, Loki, obviously, I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Alex, I don't think you'd seen... Or was it John? I don't think one of you had seen the trailer for Loki yet. And if you haven't, just to whet your appetite, I'd go and catch it because it just looks like it's going to be a blast.
It looks great.
And She-Hulk, I can't wait, especially having seen Orphan Black, because I'm just going to bang on about her, but that actress Tatiana Maslany is amazing. I can't wait to see her in something else.
Is she going to be She-Hulk?
She's She-Hulk, yeah. Probably part of the reason why I sort of picked on Orphan Black and decided to watch it, because I'd not heard of her before. But she's amazingly talented, and when you see Orphan Black, you'll see that she can do it all. She's got such a wide range, and I think she's going to do a great job with that. So yeah, I can't wait for that at all. So yeah, actually, lots to look forward to.
Yeah, Alex, how about you?
Yeah, it's a bit more mixed for me because I kind of will watch anything when there's a new one out. The new Expanse, this will be season
Series 6.
Yeah. So that I really want to see, but only because I've read the books. And
season 5 ended with a right old bang, didn't it? So
yes, it did. And I think also there were some deviations from the book.
Which is nice for you.
Which is really good because it made it fresh. And I know kind of what's coming, but also I'm thinking, look, that's really dark. Like, how are you going to make that work? But anyway, so so The Expanse is something. I think Stranger Things is coming up. It's going to be in Halloween. They're bound to do it in Halloween.
They've dropped a trailer, haven't they, with 11 sort of past when she was...
Yeah.
Like locked away and being tested on.
Yeah, they've been teasing it, and the thing is, it's they're probably just sitting on it right now. Like, they probably could push the button on it if they wanted, but they'll probably wait until either a summer bank holiday or they'll wait till probably Halloween and then they'll drop
They're
it.
looking for a gap in the scheduling, aren't they? So it gets good viewing. Yeah.
Exactly. So honestly, I think that'll be very good. Amy's really looking forward to Lock and Key, which is another Netflix original she really enjoyed. I'm just going to have to buy Netflix again. It's just I can't get away from it. But anyway, yeah. So those are the kind of things that come to mind. But not, for me, I enjoy watching series because like a movie is too short for me, so I need a series. But actually, once I've finished like that series, I just want the next one, whatever it is. So I'm quite easily pleased, really.
I'm very much looking forward to the Foundation series, because I've read all the books, and all the sort of spin-off books as well. Like, the Caves of Steel. I'm a big Asimov fan. I'm really curious to see how they're going to turn that mammoth series into a TV series, and I'm thinking that the visual style kind of reminiscent of the Dune film, really. I know it's in the pipeline. I've no idea yet when it's coming out. I know Universal TV have picked up the rights to it, but the TV adaptation of The Wicked and Divine, which is another comic series I love, about gods being pop stars, will be really interesting. By the time you hear this podcast, Love, Death and Robots Season 2 is out. That's brilliant and weird and cool. I'm with you on Kenobi, Bobby, as well. I'm looking forward to that. Just because Hayden Christensen's reprising his role, which is going to be really fascinating how they're going to do that. I presume he's going to be in as Darth Vader in his clothes, his kit. And actually, we've had our government's just said on the 17th, again, probably by the time you're hearing this, we can go to cinema again. And I am so looking forward to seeing a film in a cinema. I love going to see films in cinemas. Now, I went and saw The Quiet Place in a film, and there was me and about 3 other people in the cinema, and we were absolutely silent all the way through the film, and it was an amazing experience. And I'm really, really looking forward to having seen the recent trailer of Quiet Place 2. I am really looking forward to that. So that's my kind of future stuff I want to see. Bobby, you're nodding your head. Are you a Quiet Place fan?
A Quiet Place 2, I can't wait. Contrast to you, we saw A Quiet Place opening night, and it was packed to the rafters, but you could hear a pin drop. It was. I've never had an experience in a cinema like that for that film. It was. It is amazing.
Weird, isn't it? And cool.
It was. For me, it wasn't weird. It was heaven, because I can't stand people making noise. Like, I just want to murder them. I'm looking forward to Scarlett Johansson's. I can't remember her character's name because I can only think of her.
Black Widow.
Yeah, whatever. I'm looking forward to that.
By the way, boys and girls, Bobby's he's got a cat's butt in his face right now, so he's trying to concentrate whilst the cat's butt.
See, we've been going so long now. The animals have reached.
It's all right. Carry on. It's fine.
Anyway, we're wrapping this up soon. I'm looking forward to James Bond finally coming out this year.
Oh yeah.
It's always good for our business as a tailor, but I'm just looking forward to it and to see if they can correct all of the rubbish with the last one. And what else? I'm just looking forward to going to a flipping cinema, to be quite honest. It's a social event.
Yeah,
it's something nice for us to do every couple of weeks. There's been stuff that has come out recently that I have wanted to see, like Godzilla vs. Kong. I cannot bring myself to rent that and watch it on a small screen. I just can't do it. I need to see that on a big screen. Do you think, Bobby? Do you think that cinemas will reissue films that were shown during lockdown on TV as sort of like matinees and things? For people who want to re-see them in a cinema, because if they did, that'd be awesome. Don't you think? Do you think that's a thing? Agree
Alex?
With you. I really, really hope they do. Yeah. I mean, the one that sprang to mind was Wonder Woman 1984, because we all thought it was going to be brilliant, but it was rubbish, and I don't want to see it again. But I do. I really, really hope they do that. Yeah, there we go. I can't wait to go back to the cinema. I'm really, really looking forward to it, and as soon as my local cinema releases their slate of whatever they're going to be showing over the coming weeks, I am going to be booking viewings like crazy. So watch this space for cinema review episodes coming up, listeners.
I think it's gonna be a bit weird, because I think the thing is, you're having, yes, there's films that have been put off, like Bond and Black Widow and some of the ones, but there's not the volume of films that we've had for quite a while. So what we're going to end up with is some fairly dry weeks. You might have one a month that's the big title. So I mean, looking at the Odeon, they are bringing stuff back, and some of it's classics. The only challenge with some of the ones like Wonder Woman is it has to come from the studio, because some of them have made agreements on streaming that they can't break. Now, the thing is, like Wonder Woman, they can do that. That's easy because they own the rights for it. But anything that's gone to Netflix, for example, I suspect that won't come back for the big screen. So we'll have to see. But honestly, I mean, I wonder whether we will continue to see releases streamed digitally on streaming services, or whether they will actually drop that once all the cinemas are open again.
Alex, if you were offered a tier for Netflix, right, and you had to pay, £30 a month, and that £30 a month got you your Netflix 4K streaming, but it also means that you could walk in to any newly built Netflix cinema and watch those films on the cinema without having to pay, would you, so you get free entry, like a membership, would you pay £30 a month? But obviously there'd be Netflix only films cinemas.
I don't know. Maybe. I think it's really difficult, because for me, I don't mind the paying bit. Like, actually, I'm quite looking forward to paying, or can pay for stuff on Disney Plus. Like Mulan, is it Mulan's the new one? I can't remember.
Raya and the Last Dragon, wasn't it?
That's it. That's the one. Yeah. So I've got no problem paying for it extra to go and see it in person. I would like to see more things released on digital at the same time, though.
So almost the reverse. You'd hope that the cinema would release the film in the home and cinema. Bobby's not keen on the idea, are you, Bobby, of paying extra and just walking into cinema?
Not for Netflix movies, because they've only made maybe, I can't even count more than one, and I'm only going by the one that you've recommended today, the Phil Mitchell and Grant Mitchell versus Some Machine, because the pretty much all of the Netflix original films are like the scripts that all the other studios rejected, and I know I've said this before, and Netflix will just buy anything basically. So no, I wouldn't pay £30 a month to go see a Netflix film in a cinema, because they're all crap. Their TV shows are different though. I think their TV content quality is much better than their actual film stuff. Maybe that will change as time progresses, but so far Netflix produced films, I'm to be convinced. Carolina was watching one the other day with Olga Kurilenko called Sentinel, and I only walked in halfway through. But again, it was the usual forgettable dross that Netflix love to churn out. So yeah, not for me.
John?
Now we're running quite long here, but I think we have to be very specific here. You need to choose one thing, Bobby. What future IP, what future intellectual property would you like to be seen made into a film or TV series? Now, this is going to be hard for you. Go on then.
One thing. Fine, not a problem.
Yep.
Easy. They need to do a new Star Wars sequel trilogy. Forget about this last one. Well, don't forget about this last one. They could do it as a sort of, appendix or whatever. I don't care. Take Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy. Just turn those into movies. Adapt those novels as they are into scripts. You can make them 6 movies if you want. Do it 2 movies per book. But just turn that into the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Cast Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo again. Just give him a chance, because I actually felt a bit sorry for him, and I think he got a lot of bad press for Solo: A Star Wars Story, because when you watch it a second time, it's actually not that bad.
I love Solo.
Yeah, cast Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker, and Bob's your uncle. Just do that. That is what I want. If they're going to do one bit of intellectual property, Disney, if you're listening, take those damn books and turn them into films.
Alex, what about you?
Good. It's a good question, really. One word: Firefly. I want new Firefly.
It's never gonna happen.
It's in talks. It'd be a completely new cast. I mean, everyone will hate it, but I would really like it.
Okay, I would as well. I agree with you. Unless Whedon's kind of toxic at the moment, isn't he? No one's going to touch him with a barge pole, are they, really? It'd have to be someone else. Get JJ Adams in or someone like that to do that. Perhaps it suits his style.
No, don't.
Who would you choose,
It would be incoherent.
Get James Gunn.
James Gunn, yes. Well, let's see what James Gunn does with Suicide Squad. But he would be he's 100 times a better shout than J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams, even him, he's 5 times better than Joss Whedon. So, but yeah, James Gunn. There you go. Do that one. Okay,
I'm going to change what I was planning to say. I would like to see, because I know it's in the works already. Gary Whitta's been talking about it. So the guy who wrote the script for Rogue One is in the works right now to make a sequel to The Last Starfighter, one of my favourite films of all time. If you go back and watch The Last Starfighter now, you will be shocked and amazed at how terrible the special effects and props were. At the time, awesome, but obviously it was a pioneering film for CGI. It was one of the very first films around the same time as Tron to have CGI in it, but the sets are really bad. It's really bad, but it doesn't matter because it's such a cool story about a boy who plays a video game arcade, and that's training him to be a starfighter in an alien war elsewhere. And I've seen some of the artwork on Twitter that they're planning for the sequel, and I'm so looking forward to that if and when it comes out. I think, again, they're going to sort of hit on that whole nostalgia, sort of waiting for it after a certain time. Lots and lots of things to watch and recommendations for the folks, and I'm hoping there's enough there to go on. Obviously, you've got to be a bit of a sci-fi and superhero fan for our podcast, but as Bobby's mentioned, some of his Spanish TV properties as well. Very impressive. Bobby, you have a question?
I just don't want to be Finn in the Rise of Skywalker and just leave something unfinished. The film I was talking about earlier about the spontaneous combusting kids is called Spontaneous, with Catherine Langford.
Oh, right.
Okay, I'll watch that.
Watch it. It's brilliant. If you like Love and Monsters, you'll really like that. There's a sense of peril all the way through, but there's also just a really sweet story. And also, when you think about how as we get older, we're more conscious of time and how little we have of it. And when we're teenagers, we seem to think we've got all the time in the world. And this, through the situation these kids are in, it flips that on its head, because all of a sudden they are very conscious of time. But yeah, Spontaneous, absolutely brilliant. Go find it, watch it. We'll talk about it another time.
Awesome. I will definitely take a look at that, Bobby. Thank you for that recommendation. Okay, so just a bit of housework here. We've been Play Pause Turn, the podcast, and you can find us at Play Pause Turn on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at John PR Evans. Alex, you are
Alex Hansford.
And Bobby, you are. We always get this wrong, but today we're going to get it right.
It's Bobby Revilla.
There's a whole bunch of Bobby Revillas out there getting some really interesting uptake and followers that are nothing to do with us. Awesome to find out more about what you're watching, chaps. Thank you so much for that. This has been Play Pause Turn, and thank you for listening.